In a dusty, forgotten mansion on the edge of Port Harcourt, Victoria Sterling stood trembling in the overgrown garden, watching through a broken window as the man she loved walked past 5 million naira in cash without even a second glance. Her hands shook as she pressed them against the cracked glass. She had spent 30 minutes observing Daniel Rivers explore the abandoned house, 30 agonizing minutes waiting for him to notice the money she'd deliberately left on the parlor table. But he hadn't taken it. He hadn't even acknowledged it. And what he was doing instead made her realize she had just made the biggest mistake of her life.
I left that money there on purpose. For 30 minutes, I watched you. I was testing you.
You tested me. After everything, who are you?
My real name is Victoria Sterling. I'm worth $2.3 billion. And I just realized I'm the poorest person in this room.
But before we understand how a billionaire and a fisherman arrived at this devastating moment, we need to go back to where it all began. Back to the loneliness that drove Victoria to Port Harcourt. Back to the lie that started a love story. Back to the test that would reveal more about her than him. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Victoria Sterling inherited her father's empire at 28. Sterling International, a luxury goods corporation built on pearls, diamonds, and high-end textiles, became hers the day her father's heart gave out during a board meeting. For years later, at 32, she had everything the world admires and nothing her heart desires. She sat in her Lagos penthouse every evening, eating dinner alone at a table set for one, scrolling through social media and watching other people share the kind of joy her billions couldn't buy. The men in her world didn't see Victoria. They saw an investment opportunity. Another disaster? Her assistant Jennifer asked one morning, bringing coffee into Victoria's office. Victoria dropped her head into her hands. He spent 20 minutes explaining cryptocurrency to impress me, Jen. Then casually mentioned his startup just needed 10 million in seed funding. I'm not a woman to these men. I'm a walking checkbook. So what are you going to do? Victoria stared out her office window at the sprawling city below. Something crazy. The Port Harcourt expansion project. I'm going there myself. No security detail. No designer clothes. No last name. Just Victoria. Or better yet, Vicky. Jennifer's eyes widened. You're going to disguise yourself? I need to know if someone somewhere can see me. Not my bank account. Not my connections. Just me. And so Victoria Sterling disappeared. She traded Prada for Ankara print, her penthouse for a modest guest house, her chauffeur for a taxi. She became Vicky, a fish buyer from Lagos, and boarded a bus to Port Harcourt with her heart full of hope and her identity wrapped in lies. 200 miles away, Daniel Rivers was pulling in nets with his crew as the sun rose over the coast. At 29, he had chosen a different kind of wealth. While his classmates from university had scattered to Lagos and abroad chasing corporate salaries, Daniel had returned to the fishing community that raised him. He had lost his parents at 12 in a boat accident, and this town had fed him, clothed him, taught him everything he knew. He couldn't abandon them for a six-figure salary. You could have taken that job in Lagos, his mentor Thomas said one evening as they sat on the dock. Project manager for that oil company. Real money. Daniel shook his head, sketching plans in his worn notebook. Real money for me, yes, but what about these kids, Uncle Thomas? Someone has to show them there's dignity in this work. That fishing isn't just survival. Can be sustainable, profitable, honorable. I can't build that dream from a Lagos office. Thomas smiled. Your grandfather would be proud. Stubborn, but proud. Every night, Daniel sketched the same dream. A fishing academy where young people could learn sustainable techniques, business skills, and find dignity in the work their parents did. He had been saving for 5 years, every naira carefully recorded, dreaming of the day he could open those doors. He had no idea his life was about to collide with a woman worth billions. He had no idea he was about to be tested. And he had absolutely no idea that he would be the one teaching the lessons. The morning mist hung over the Port Harcourt fish market when Victoria arrived in her simple clothes and headscarf. She approached the first vendor, who immediately sized her up as a city woman and inflated his prices. The second vendor did the same. By the third, Victoria was frustrated and ready to confirm what she already believed. Everyone has an angle. Everyone wants something. Everyone sees an opportunity. Then she reached Daniel's stall. "Good morning," he said with a genuine smile. "First time buying here?" Victoria's guard went up immediately. "That obvious?" Daniel laughed warmly. "Only because you look suspicious of everyone. Smart, actually. Tourism season brings price inflation. What are you looking for?" "Red snapper. Fresh. 2,000 per kilo. Caught this morning. 4 hours ago." Daniel paused, then pointed across the market. "But honestly, if you're buying for a restaurant, you should talk to Samuel over there. He has bulk quantities. Better prices than mine for large orders." Victoria stared at him, completely thrown off balance. "You're sending me to your competition?" Daniel shrugged with that warm smile. "Samuel has 5 kids. I have a crew of 3. He needs the sale more than I do. Besides, my grandfather taught me that business built on deception sinks faster than a boat with holes." Something shifted in Victoria's chest. In a world where everyone wanted something from her, here was a man giving away a sale. "What if I want to buy from you? Then I'd say you have excellent taste. I'm Daniel Rivers. Welcome to our community, miss?" Victoria hesitated for only a moment. "Vicky. Just Vicky." And with that lie, a truth began to grow. Victoria told herself she would stay 1 week. That week became 2. 2 became a month. And before she knew it, 3 months had passed. She returned to Daniel's stall every morning. He taught her to identify fresh fish, to feel the firmness of scales, to check the clarity of eyes. Their first shared meal was simple fried fish and plantain on the beach at sunset, and Victoria couldn't remember the last time food had tasted so good. Not because it was expensive, but because it was real. By the 4th week, Daniel invited her to meet his fishing cooperative. "These are my brothers," he said, introducing her to the other fishermen. "We pool resources, share catches, support each other's families." Victoria found herself naturally organizing their accounting ledgers, spotting inefficiencies, suggesting improvements. One of the cooperative members whistled. "Daniel, your friend has a good eye for numbers." Daniel looked at her curiously. "You're really good at this. What exactly do you do in the city, Vicky?" Victoria chose her words carefully. "I work in business management. Nothing exciting." Daniel accepted this without interrogation, without demanding credentials. He simply trusted, and that trust felt like water to someone dying of thirst. In the 8th week, Daniel took her to see the local youth he dreamed of teaching. Children played soccer on the beach, helped their parents mend nets, carried buckets of fish with small but determined hands. "You see these kids?" Daniel's voice filled with passion. "Brilliant minds, strong hands, big dreams. But the world tells them fishing is backwards, old-fashioned poverty work. I want to show them it's not. I want to give them skills, dignity, futures." A young boy named Matthew, maybe 12 years old, ran up to them. "Mr. Daniel, when will the fishing school open? My papa says I should go to Lagos to find work, but I want to stay here. I want to learn from you." Daniel knelt to Matthew's level, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Soon, Matthew. I promise you, I'm saving every naira. Soon." Matthew ran off, and Victoria had to turn away to hide her tears. With one phone call, she could fund Daniel's entire dream. One call, pocket change to her, life-changing to him. And she couldn't make that call because she had built their entire connection on a lie. By the 12th week, they sat together on Daniel's boat at sunset, feet dangling in the water as the sky turned orange and pink. "I lost my parents when I was 12, Daniel said quietly. "Boat accident. Storm came up too fast. This community raised me, fed me, taught me. That's why I can't leave Vicky. I owe them. But more than that, I belong here." Victoria's hand found his. "What if someone had money to help your dream? A lot of money. Would you take it?" Daniel thought for a long moment. "Depends. Charity keeps you dependent. Partnership builds you up. I'd want to earn it, not just receive it. The academy has to be sustainable or it'll fail the moment the money runs out. It has to stand on its own. Victoria nodded, her heart breaking. She was falling in love with his principles, the very principles that made her deception worse with each passing day. That night, back in her guest house, Victoria video called Jennifer. "Vicky, you've been gone 12 weeks, Jennifer said, concerned. "The board is getting restless. When are you coming home?" "Jen, I met someone." Jennifer's face lit up. "That's wonderful. Does he know who you are?" The pause stretched too long. "No. He thinks I'm just a woman from the city. A fish buyer. Normal." "Victoria, you can't keep this up forever. What happens when he finds out? What if he changes?" Victoria's voice cracked. "What if he starts seeing dollar signs like everyone else? What if everything we have disappears the second he knows? Or what if he doesn't change?" "Victoria, you'll never know unless you trust him. Maybe test him if you need to, but make it mean something." The next morning, Victoria's lawyer called with news. "Ms. Sterling, the Whitmore estate probate has cleared. Your great-aunt's property in Port Harcourt is officially yours. The old colonial mansion on Seaside Road. It's in terrible shape, abandoned for 15 years. We recommend selling for land value, about 300 million naira." Victoria's mind began calculating. "Don't sell it. I want to see it first." An idea took shape. An abandoned mansion. A significant amount of cash. A man she loved but wasn't sure she could trust. It seemed perfect. Foolproof. She withdrew 5 million naira in cash and called Daniel. "Hey, I have kind of a weird favor," she said, keeping her voice casual. "A friend of mine owns an old house here. She's trying to decide whether to renovate or sell, and I promised I'd look at it. Would you come with me? You have such good instincts about these things." "Of course. I'd love to help." "When? Tomorrow afternoon?" "It's a date." Victoria hung up and stared at the money on her table. Her hands trembled slightly. "It's a date," he had said. "Not a test. Not a trap. A date." And Victoria Sterling, brilliant CEO and master negotiator, was about to make the biggest mistake of her life. The Whitmore mansion stood like a ghost from another era. Overgrown gardens choked the walkway, paint peeled from once grand columns, and shutters hung at broken angles. But the bones of beauty remained visible in the architecture. "Wow," Daniel said as they arrived. "Your friend owns this? Even abandoned, you can see it was something special." "Yeah." Victoria's voice sounded hollow even to herself. "She's trying to figure out what to do with it. Come on, I have the keys." Inside, dust covered every surface. Furniture hid under white sheets. A grand staircase curved upward, and an old chandelier hung from the high ceiling, crystals dulled by years of neglect. Victoria had already set her trap. A designer handbag on the antique parlor table, left casually open, 5 million naira in cash clearly visible. "Let me show you around," Victoria said, her heart pounding. She mentioned the east wing might have water damage. As they walked through rooms, Victoria's phone rang on cue. "Oh, sorry, I need to take this. Work thing. Do you mind looking around on your own? Maybe check upstairs. See if the structure is sound." "Sure. Take your time." Victoria exited to the overgrown garden and positioned herself where she could see into the parlor through a broken window. 30 minutes. She gave herself 30 minutes to see who Daniel Rivers really was. Her heart hammered as she watched him enter the parlor. He glanced at the bag briefly, then kept walking, more interested in the crown molding. 5 minutes passed. He noticed the bag and moved on. Victoria exhaled slightly but kept watching. Then Daniel discovered double doors leading to a courtyard. He opened them and sunlight flooded in. His face transformed with wonder and excitement. He started pacing, clearly thinking, seeing something she couldn't see. He found old newspapers in a side room and began sketching frantically. He returned to the courtyard, measuring with his footsteps, opening all the windows and doors on the ground floor. The money sat completely untouched, unacknowledged, irrelevant. Victoria watched, confusion replacing her careful planning. This wasn't what she expected. He wasn't even tempted. He was building something in his mind, completely absorbed, and her trap had become invisible. 30 minutes passed. Victoria returned inside, rehearsing her confrontation. She stopped dead in the parlor doorway. Every window and door stood open, light streaming in. Daniel sat on the dusty floor, surrounded by sketches scribbled on newspaper margins, completely absorbed in his vision. He looked up, eyes bright with excitement. "Vicky, do you realize what your friend has here?" Victoria's prepared speech evaporated. What?" Daniel jumped to his feet, animated and practically vibrating with energy. "This isn't just a house. This is opportunity. Look." He showed her his rough sketches. 20 rooms upstairs could be dormitories and classrooms. This parlor, administration, and library. The courtyard, perfect for practical training, net mending, equipment maintenance. The east wing, workshops for boat repair. And Vicky, the property goes all the way to the water. Direct access for real-world boat handling lessons. "What are you talking about?" "The Fishing Academy. My dream. I've been saving, looking at tiny plots, thinking I'd need to build from scratch. But this place, it's perfect. It already has everything we need. Your friend is sitting on something precious, but not for hotels or luxury. For education. For changing lives." Victoria's eyes drifted to the money bag. Daniel followed her gaze. "Oh, is that your friend's?" he said dismissively. "You should probably put that away. Not safe leaving cash around." He immediately turned back to his sketches, the money completely dismissed from his mind. "Listen, I know this is huge to ask, but could you help me write a proposal to your friend? I don't have money to buy this place, but maybe a lease to own for the academy? Or a partnership. I have a 5-year business plan, community impact studies, everything. I just need a chance to present it." Victoria understood in that crushing moment. She hadn't tested Daniel's honesty. She had revealed her own distrust. He didn't ignore the money to pass a test. He ignored it because it was irrelevant. He was looking at 50 million naira of opportunity in the building itself. Her trap was invisible because he wasn't looking for traps. He was looking for purpose. "Daniel," her voice cracked, "I need to tell you something." He was still sketching, distracted. "I left that money there. On purpose. For 30 minutes I watched you from outside. Through that window. I was testing you." Daniel's hand stopped mid-sketch. Silence filled the dusty room. He looked up slowly, and the hurt that flooded his face made Victoria want to disappear. "You what?" His voice was quiet, dangerous. "I wanted to see if you'd take it, or if you'd be tempted, if you'd mention it awkwardly. I've been lied to and used so many times. I needed to know." "Know what, Vicky?" Daniel stood, and the hurt in his eyes was unbearable. "That I'm not a thief? Is that what 3 months together earned me? A test? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just needed to be sure." "Sure of what?" His voice broke. "Who are you really? Because the Vicky I thought I knew wouldn't need to test someone like this. The Vicky I fell in love with trusted people." The words "fell in love with" hung in the air like a physical presence. Victoria whispered, "You love me. I fell in love with who I thought you were. Someone real. Someone genuine. Was any of it real, Vicky? Or was our whole relationship just another test?" If you're still watching up to now, type, "I'm still here" in the comments section. Victoria took a shaky breath, knowing the next words would either save or destroy everything. "My real name is Victoria Sterling." Daniel stared at her. "Okay, why did you lie about your name?" "Because Victoria Sterling is CEO of Sterling International. I'm worth $2.3 billion, Daniel. I inherited a luxury goods empire when my father died. Pearls, diamonds, high-end textiles. I have homes in 5 countries. I employ 12,000 people. And I haven't had a real relationship in 4 years because every man I meet sees a bank account, not a person." Daniel sat down heavily, processing. "Billionaire. You've been pretending to be a fish buyer when you could buy the entire fishing fleet. The whole industry. I wasn't pretending about everything. My feelings, our conversations, the time we spent together. That was all real. I just needed to know if someone could love me. Just me. Not my money, not my connections. That's why I tested you. With 5 million naira. Yes. Daniel laughed, bitter and hurt. 5 million. Victoria, I didn't even notice it. Do you know why? Because you're honest? Because I was too busy seeing 50 million naira of opportunity. This building, this location, what it could mean for the community, that's what I saw. Your money trap was invisible to me because I wasn't looking for money, Victoria. I was looking for purpose. Victoria flinched at the truth of this. Daniel stood, pacing. You tested my honesty. Fine. But you know what? You failed a bigger test. You failed the trust test. After 3 months of me showing you exactly who I am, every single day you still didn't believe it. That hurts more than any lie about your name. I know. You're right. I'm sorry. Do you really understand? I told you about my grandfather, about my parents, about every dream I have. I was vulnerable with you, and you were what? Playing poor? Was it entertaining? No. Victoria stepped forward firmly. Daniel, no. No one knows about this. Just Jennifer, my assistant, and only because she manages my schedule. I didn't come here to mock anyone. I came here because I was lonely and desperate and so tired of being used I couldn't breathe anymore. I came here to find something real. By building something fake. Yes, and I was wrong. I see that now. Daniel walked to the window looking out at the courtyard. What were you going to do if I had taken the money? I don't know. Leave probably. Add you to the list of disappointments. And since I didn't, I was going to tell you the truth. And hope you'd forgive me. Hope you'd still care about me. Even though I'm a coward who tests people instead of trusting them. Daniel turned from the window. You want to know what I thought when I first walked in here? My first thought was, Vicky's friend must be miserable. All this space, all this beauty, and it's empty. Abandoned. What's the point of owning something magnificent if it serves no purpose? He walked toward her. That's you, isn't it? All that wealth, all that power, and you're empty. Abandoned. Hiding behind tests and disguises because you're terrified to let anyone in. Victoria's tears fell freely now. Yes, that's exactly what I am. Then here's my test for you, Victoria Sterling. Are you brave enough to be empty? To admit you don't have all the answers? To trust someone who has nothing to offer you except themselves? Because I'm still just a fisherman. My dreams haven't changed. This academy, these kids, this community, that's still my world. The question is, can you love someone who'll never care about galas or board meetings? Someone who'll wake you at 4 a.m. to catch the tide? Someone whose perfect evening is teaching children on a beach. Victoria stepped closer, taking his hands. Daniel, I fell in love with you because of those things. Because you looked at this mansion and saw a school. Because you sent customers to your competitor because he has 5 kids. Because you measure wealth in purpose, not bank accounts. I spent 3 months being happier as Vicky the fish buyer than I've been as Victoria Sterling the CEO in years. Pretty words. But can you live them? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I want to try. No more tests. No more disguises. Just us. Victoria and Daniel. Figuring it out together. Daniel looked down at their joined hands. This mansion. It's really yours. Yes. And you could fund the academy? With pocket change. But you were right. Charity creates dependency. So here's what I propose. Real partnership. You build the curriculum, recruit teachers, run the program. I provide the building and initial funding. But the academy sustains itself through your cooperative model. We're not just teaching kids. We're building a sustainable business. Together. Daniel's expression softened slightly. You really read my business plan. Victoria smiled through tears. I read everything you showed me. Because despite being a coward about my identity, I was genuinely interested in your dreams. And what about your dreams, Victoria? Do you go back to your empire? Commute between penthouse and port? How does this work? I don't know. The board expects me back. I have responsibilities, thousands of employees depending on decisions I make. But I also know that for 3 months, I've been more myself as Vicky than I've been as Victoria Sterling in years. Then maybe the test isn't over. Maybe we both have to figure out who we are together. Not billionaire and fisherman. Not CEO and academy director. Just Victoria and Daniel. Two broken people trying to build something real. Can you forgive me? For the test. For the lies. For not trusting you. Daniel paused for a long moment. I don't know. Not yet. You hurt me, Victoria. But I also understand why. And I think maybe broken people don't find perfect love. They find patient love. Love willing to work through the tests and the fears and the broken trust. Are you willing to try? On one condition. Anything. No more tests. No more disguises. If we do this, we do it with complete honesty. Even when it's scary. Even when it's hard. Deal? Victoria squeezed his hands. Deal. They stood in the dusty mansion. Sunlight streaming through the windows Daniel had opened, surrounded by his sketches of a better future. 1 year later, the Whitmore mansion stood transformed. Fresh paint covered the walls, gardens bloomed with careful maintenance, and voices filled rooms that had been silent for 15 years. The River Sterling Fishing Academy opened its doors 6 months after that day, with 50 students in the first class and a waiting list of 200 more. Victoria and Daniel walked through the bustling courtyard together, watching students practice knot-tying techniques. Young Matthew ran up to them, eyes bright with achievement. Mr. Daniel, Ms. Victoria, I got accepted to the advanced program. Daniel beamed with pride. That's because you worked hard, Matthew. You earned it. As Matthew ran off, Victoria smiled at Daniel. You still wake me up at 4 a.m. sometimes. And you still complain about it. I also still love it. Who knew a billionaire could be happy gutting fish? You're still CEO though. How's the board handling your extended Port Harcourt presence? Jennifer set up a satellite office. Turns out I can run an empire from anywhere with good Wi-Fi. Plus, the Sterling Foundation's partnership with the Academy? Best PR we've had in years. Genuine community investment beats champagne galas. Daniel stopped walking. Speaking of investment, he got down on one knee. Victoria gasped, hands flying to her mouth. No tests this time. No disguises. Just a simple question. He opened a small box revealing a ring with a river pearl, simple and beautiful. Victoria Sterling, will you marry a fisherman? Victoria cried and laughed simultaneously. Yes, yes. Though technically, you're now Director Daniel Rivers of a prestigious academy. You're doing pretty well for yourself. Daniel stood, sliding the ring onto her finger. I caught the richest woman in Port Harcourt. Victoria kissed him. No, I caught the richest man. Students noticed and erupted in cheers. The couple embraced as celebration filled the air around them. The mansion alive with light and voices and purpose. Victoria Sterling came to Port Harcourt to test a man's character. She left with something far more valuable. A partnership built on truth, a purpose bigger than profit, and a love that needed no disguise. Sometimes the greatest wealth isn't what you own. It's who you trust. And sometimes the person testing you is life itself, asking if you're brave enough to be vulnerable, honest enough to admit your fears, and strong enough to choose love over protection. The lesson here is profound. Trust is not proven through tests but through time. Victoria learned that testing someone reveals your own insecurities more than their character. Daniel taught her that true integrity isn't about resisting temptation when being watched, but about pursuing purpose so completely that temptation becomes invisible. Their story reminds us that real wealth is measured not in what we accumulate but in what we're willing to risk for genuine connection. Thank you for staying with us through this entire journey. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about trust, love, or the tests we put others through, we want to hear from you. Comment below what part of the story resonated most with you. What would you have done in Victoria's place? In Daniel's? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories that explore the depths of human connection, the complexity of love, and the wisdom we gain when we're brave enough to be vulnerable. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, remember, the greatest test in life isn't what we do when people are watching, but who we choose to be when we think no one can see.